Good evening and welcome back to our show. This is Dr. Dwayne Wood and we are in Diabetes Awareness Month, the month of November. And tonight we have the continuing episode of our series that we are doing on diabetes. And tonight we are moving on to talk about type 2 diabetes. Remember last night we talked, in our last episode, we talked about type 1 diabetes. We're talking about type 2 diabetes today on this episode. We are in a state, and I'm going to use the word pandemic, okay? It is a pandemic because our numbers keep growing. We have 37 million people in the United States with diabetes. We've got about 90 million or so that have prediabetes. Around the world, 462 million people, almost a half a billion people who are suffering with diabetes. Last night we talked about type 1 diabetes, which takes up about 5 to 10% of all the people that have diabetes. And now tonight we're going to be talking about type 2. So let's just jump right into it. Pull our slide up. So diabetes type 2. And to kind of put some basis there, you remember that we talked about the pancreas. So the pancreas is this organ that sits in the middle, kind of the abdomen, if you will, right below the liver, next to the gallbladder, right below the stomach. And it produces insulin. And in type 2 diabetes, what happens is that insulin that's being produced is not effective. Notice I did say the insulin is not being produced. In type 1, we said that there is no insulin being produced, but in type 2, we do have insulin that's being produced. And there is a genetic component to this, and we'll see a slide here in a minute that walks through that. There's a genetic component to this. So families who have diabetes, if one person has diabetes, then someone else in the family is more likely to have it. And, as we will see, comparing type 1 and type 2, that there are many, many similarities there. So this is the slide that we showed before that talked about type 1 diabetes. And you see there's that genetic, and that's that DNA strand that you see there in the upper left-hand corner. There's the genetic component, that's family history. Then there's some environmental issue that happens, a viral infection that we think that's happening. Then we have an autoimmune insulitis. So the body begins attacking the cells that make insulin. That leads to destruction of those cells. That leads to insulin deficiency, and then that leads to type 1 diabetes. So that's what we see when we're talking about type 1 diabetes. If we flip over and we talk about type 2, we still have that familial component, that's the genetic component, and the environmental component now becomes lifestyle. That is, all the things that we talk about, and we'll do a show specifically on lifestyle and what that exactly means. But basically what begins happening, we think that people begin putting on weight for whatever reason, right? Whether that's stress, whether that's food, whether that's something in their environment happens so they can't move around as much as they can. They're on some medication that causes blood sugars, whatever it is, right? Something happens in the environment, we think it's lifestyle, that causes abnormal secretion of insulin. Notice not stopping the insulin, but this insulin secretion is abnormal. Then we have ineffective insulin. So the insulin is there, but it's not working like it should. And that leads to this thing that we call insulin resistance, right? We'll come back, and once again, we're going to be doing a show on lots of these components. That leads to insulin resistance, and that is what leads to type 2 diabetes. So notice that we are still producing insulin. So insulin is not gone. We're still producing it, but it is not effective, and that's what leads us to type 2 diabetes. It is a huge, 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 huge problem, and so we've got to learn. We've got to figure out, first of all, how do we prevent the progression to diabetes, type 2 diabetes? And there's research also going on for type 1. How do we, what do we need to do there? So how do we prevent the progression? How do we find people early if they are diabetic? Because as we said before, a lot of people don't know that they're diabetic. And so how do we find those people, how we begin treating them, and how do we manage their disease so they can live a long life? Right? In a nutshell, that's type 2 diabetes. It is an abnormal secretion leading to ineffective insulin, leading to insulin resistance. And as you guys remember in our show, we are starting, let me pop this back up here. We are starting to do our, a new feature, right? So let me pop that up here on the screen. There we go. We're doing a new feature, which we are calling our... This is our amazing question wheel. So we have questions that are on the wheel. I'm going to spin the wheel. We're going to land on a question, and I'm going to have 45 seconds to answer that question. If you have questions that you want us to add to this wheel, go ahead and send them in. Put them in the comments. Send us an email. We're on all the social media platforms, Dwayne Wood MD, right? So find us there, drop us, and we will add your question to the wheel. And if we add your question, we'll put your name. Well, we'll give you a shout out saying that you are there, right? So I'm going to spin the wheel. Let's go ahead and do that now. And here we go. We're spinning. All right. And we landed on... All right. What are the 3 P's? Right? What are the 3 P's of diabetes? What are the 3 P's of diabetes? So I'm going to have 45 seconds to answer this, right? If I don't finish in 45 seconds, it's going to move on to a scene. You're going to hear some music, but that's okay. And once again, this is what we're going to be using for our shorts. So let's go ahead and let me pop over to the screen where I get to answer the question. So once again, the question is, what are the 3 P's of diabetes? What are the 3 P's of diabetes? Here we go. So the 3 P's of diabetes are polyuria, polydipsia, and polyphagia. So because blood sugars are elevated, the body tries to get rid of blood sugars. And when the body's getting rid of sugar, it also gets rid of fluid. So that's where the polyuria, or lots of urine, comes in. Polydipsia, now that you're peeing a lot, you start to drink a lot. So the polydipsia means drinking a lot. And then polyphagia, because your body is not able to use energy, you feel hungry all the time. So polydipsia, polyphagia, and polyuria, those are the 3 P's of diabetes. All right, let's see. Did I get it? Yes, I did. So I made it with, 2-3 seconds to... Yes. I did it. So I made it with 3 seconds, I think, to go. So I'm excited about that part of our show, all of the show, but I get a kick out of that one. All right. So once again, if you have questions that you want to add to our amazing question wheel, go ahead and send those in to us, and we'll add them there. We'll give you a shout out. But let me pause here to welcome you. I didn't do that. Dr. Dwayne Wood, that's me, to tell you who I am. I am an endocrinologist by training. I am a mindset change facilitator. I'm a life coach. I'm an executive coach. I'm a physician coach. I love educating people. I love empowering them, and I love encouraging them to take charge of their health, take charge of their life, so they can avoid complications and go to the next level, living that life that we all want, right? That's what I do on the show. And that is our intention as we move into the future. This month, we're concentrating on diabetes. We do have some guests that are going to be coming on, so pay attention, keep an ear. You should have seen some things coming out. Coulter Reed is going to be here on Monday at 7 o'clock. He's going to be talking to us about how do we organize our lives so that we can enjoy it, right? Get organized so you can enjoy the rest of your life. So he's going to be here, and we've got some amazing guests that are coming as we move into the end of the year and next year as well, right? So we're not stopping this year. We are growing. If you've not already done so, please go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Let me explain something about that. As we build and grow the community, your presence, your engagement with us lets everyone know that you appreciate the things that we're doing, okay? So we want to grow more than we are right now, and you can help us do that. When you go to the channel and you hit the subscribe button, you have to have an account. There's no money involved. You're not paying anything. It's not a subscription that you're paying for, right? But subscribe in this case simply means that you will be alerted when I put new content out. In order to be alerted, when you subscribe, you also have to hit the notification bell so that whenever I go live, whenever I put new content up, then that comes directly to you. So I appreciate that. Let your family, your friends know what we're doing on the channel and send this video to them. If you like what we've done, give us a thumbs up, share it, subscribe, hit the bell, and follow us on all of our social media platforms and look for a short of the video that we just did, right? That 45-second video, look for that and go ahead and comment about it. Say, hey, I was there when he did that. I was there when he did that on the show. So I thank you for being here. Come back for our next episode as we move through the month talking about diabetes. Thanks for being here. Good night. We'll see you at the next show.